And he said, thank you, man, for motivating me and being there, because I needed another voice. And I think that's what people in this world, they need. They need to hear a voice from somebody who can say, hey, it's all right. It's bad, but it's going to be all right. Tomorrow's a new day, and we're going to move a little faster tomorrow. We're going to take 2 steps instead of 1.
When your back's up against the wall, just know you got a place to stay. I know sometimes it gets hard, but all you gotta have is faith. If you can rise to it, you can rise to it. If you can rise to it, you can rise through it. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, family, and welcome to another edition of the Rise to It podcast, your home for personal and professional development. My name is Jonathan Hernandez, a.k.a. the letter H, and with us today, we got our entire team. We got all the boys. We got Mr. DJ Sal Cortez. We got Mr. Andre Covington. We got Mr. Frankie Liao. What's going on?
Bring them.
We'll bring them February 1st, y'all. We're kicking off 2024. And speaking of kicking off, man, there were some kickers that missed some field goals. We got to talk about football, all right, because this is taped prior to the Super Bowl. Dre, we got to hear your picks, man. What were your thoughts about the game? I know Kansas City went hard against Buffalo, as they always do. That always seems like a Super Bowl in itself.
Yes.
What did you think about the playoffs thus far, man?
Well, it's what I said before the playoffs even started. I had the Ravens playing the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Those are my 2 teams. When it's all said and done, will be the last 2 10 standing now. When this air, we'll know for sure if those predictions came true or not.
Yes.
But I stand on that. I just felt that those were the 2 best teams, and a lot of other teams, the inexperience that they had. And you look at the Niners, they're all in. They've spent all the money you could possibly spend. They've made draft picks. They've given up draft picks. They've made trades. And you look at the Ravens with Baltimore, you look at Jackson, he's had to get that monkey off his back at some point, and get to a point where, he went through the contract deal, represented himself, didn't even have an agent. Well, his mother and he were the ones who did his deal. And a lot of people gave him some credit, talked about that, didn't give him credit for it, but he got a great deal. And now look at him, the MVP caliber season, and now they're right there where they should be.
Detroit and San Francisco. Now, you predicted SF to be in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Do you think the Lions could do it this season? Because they've been now, I know we're Raider fans, 3 out of the 4. This guy right here is a winner right here.
The only smart one. Yeah.
So 3 out of the 4, I know we got a winner right here. But do you think Detroit has what it takes to push them to the Super Bowl this year?
The only thing I worry about for the Niners that had trouble is that they're a physical team. Detroit Lions, they're physical. Look at their coach. That guy look like he'll slap anybody in the family just at the dinner table for getting out of line. He's just that hard-nosed guy. What did he say? We want to bite ankles or something he was talking about?
Yeah.
That
was his mantra right
and
there,
the player
man.
was like, I want to bite an ankle. I was like, you got your teammates that fired up? I just think that he's a really good coach for that organization. They needed that. That's why they hadn't had that, and that's why they had all those years, decades of just nothing. I like where he's going. I like the Raiders next year with AP getting the head coaching job, too.
Man.
I think we'll have that same type of effect because it's leadership, man. It really comes down to who is leading you and are they able to get the best out of you. I just think the Niners will have too much for them when it's all said and done, and they'll get them at the end.
That's right. I know DJ Sal, my brother from another mother, also part of the Raider Nation.
Yes, sir.
What'd you think about that AP now making it permanent? The full-time. He went from the adjunct to the full-time. What do you think about that permanent hire for Raider Nation?
Oh, man, I got on the hype beast early, dude. When he came in and just brought that fire to the locker room and you saw the players rally behind him, like they believe in his leadership and what he's doing out there. And that in itself, it's that whole team mentality now. They're all working for each other. And, with the coach previously, it was just like, everybody felt like they were kind of on an island on their own, and AP came in, and now they're a whole unit, offensive and defensive, right? And they're playing off each other, and it only got stronger and stronger. I know there was some L's in there, but there was a lot of silver streaks in all of those games.
Well, you think about this, I'll add this point on there. He was an undrafted player. And, he had to come in with no hype, no fanfare, and he went all the way up to a starter, a Pro Bowler, a guy who got respect in the league, and he wasn't a Hall of Famer, but he was a winner, and he played hard. So he's going to know every player and how position you have to be in, because he saw the number 1 draft pick that turned into a bust. Yeah. He saw the number 1 draft pick to turn into a Hall of Famer. So he's gonna know what to look for in that heart of a player. He also know that undrafted player has got some dog in him, like he had. Because there's some undrafted guys who've gone on to become Hall of Famers, and someone had to see that in him and say, "Wow, that guy, he's special. We got to hold on to him, even though we didn't draft him. We're lucky to have him."
Absolutely. AP, I think, is great for the culture. He's a great leader, and it was great to see other all-stars vouch for him. Like Max Crosby, my boy, I love that guy. That guy plays hard every single down. He's like, if he ain't coming back, now my career is questionable. Maybe I need to dip out. And so that loyalty that they had there, the vibes that AP brings, I think is second to none. And if it's Raider Nation, he'd be driving his Impala. I don't know if you've seen it. His Impala to the games. I'm like, yes, so there we go, man.
But the problem he might run into is like, okay, he's not too far removed from being a player. He's a young head coach.
Yeah.
So you can make a mistake of being too friendly. So now he's got the permanent job. So now I'm not your friend. I'm your head coach. So like the guys that call, "Hey, what's up, AP?" He's gonna be like, "Whoa, coach." And that could drive a wedge sometimes, because the player's going to have to instinctively do that, because Coach Prime had that problem when he became a head coach. Yes. All the reporters were like, "Hey, Prime." He was like, "Hold on. I'm coach."
Yes.
Like, you don't call Nick Saban and those other guys, you don't call them, "Hey, Nick." So don't do that to me.
Very true.
And that's where he's going to have to work to make sure that the players respect him and don't come in buddy, high five and slap him on the butt. "Hey, what's up, man? What's up, my dude? What's up?" Other words, you know what I'm saying? And he's got to like, okay, that can happen because of the level he's at now.
Absolutely. If you haven't checked out, this is for our viewers, but everybody at the table, if you haven't checked out Prime, he has a special on Amazon Prime, fittingly. And so it shows the behind the scenes of everything from his HBCU college experience all the way into what he's doing right now at Colorado. Do not count that guy out. I know they had an 8 record. Guaranteed, my boy's coming hard for 2024 this season. I expect him to do some big things, man. That recruiting's going to be serious, man. That portal.
And his son recorded all that. His son runs that whole production company.
Yeah.
His son is behind it. So he has learned how to incorporate all his family into working members. His sons are playing. His daughters are playing basketball. His son is like head of the whole recording production team. So I guess your kids out your pocket. Absolutely. You know, your kids are now earning instead of begging. That's a whole big deal right there.
That's right. Frankie's the only non-Raider Nation part of this group.
That's why we
here.
let you talk last.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. What are the vibes? What are the vibes being a winner?
I really don't even watch football as much as you guys do, man. Like, I'm not saying you guys are not busy. You guys are just as busy as I am, but I just don't. I don't follow it as much, so I can't speak on the football game too much right now.
We're gonna have to. He's gonna have to become a Raider. That's what's up.
I've been working. I haven't caught a playoff game yet because I've been working. I just try to catch up on the highlights afterwards or conversations.
What
like
I
this.
do, I record a lot of the games, and if you have your DVR has a 30-second fast forward. So when they run a play, you hit. Because it's 35 seconds in between each play. So you hit the fast forward, and it goes right next thing they're under center, and it's the next play. Yeah. I shave about an hour plus off the game because I go straight through halftime. I don't watch none of that because all the procrastinators and the guys, these are prediction stars, they miss it all. So I go right through that. All the commercials I go right through. So it takes me like an hour to watch a whole game.
So you never watch the game when it's actually on?
No,
you'll go back later.
I go back. I always, even if I'm home and the game is on, I'll go knock out something I need to do. Like if I got a writing assignment or something, I'll go do that. But you can't answer your phone. You can't look at your phone because all your friends like this one right here, Dr. H.
I'm calling this guy here.
Can you believe we won? So if I see his name pop up, I don't even look at it right away. So no diss, Doc. I'm just that's why I don't hit you back right away because I haven't even seen it yet.
For sure.
Not on your phone.
For sure. Dre, you said a name, man, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him in the college football culture because he really was the king at coaching. Nick Saban at Alabama University, the leader that he was, intensity, success, the drive that boy had. What are some words that you have like for Nick Saban to describe the viewers? So they need to Google Nick Saban, but what are some words that you would use to describe who he is, who he was as a head coach at Alabama University?
He was a winner. and he was stern, but he was disciplined, and he look how many guys he sent to the league. You talk about his career. He was at LSU, and he won a national championship at LSU. And I have a buddy who's he's from New Orleans, so he loves LSU. And then they didn't win the next year, and he goes, "We got to get rid of him." This is what my friends said to me. "We got to get rid of him." I said, "Dude, if you get rid of him, you better hope he doesn't stay in the SEC." And what did he do? He went to Alabama. Yep. How many did he went over there? 5, 6? I mean,
I
he
don't even know.
Started dominating.
Yeah.
And of course, LSU, I think they got one more, maybe. I'm not even mistaken. So, he's just a winner, man. And, you got to respect that.
Nick Saban, and this is actually today's episode. We're going to be talking about vibes. So AP bringing that vibe, Nick Saban bringing the vibe, Deion Sanders, primetime bringing the vibe to Colorado, doing it his way, but also understanding that the culture needs to change and other people kind of need to adopt those principles, right, those standards. And so Celeste behind the camera today, last episode, she's like, we need to have an episode talking about frequency, like people's energy. What are they bringing to the table? So shout out to Celeste, Mrs. Liao, the big boss right here, right? We're actually going to take a few seconds to check out Nick Saban. He was doing a press conference, and he has a greatest hit. So if you haven't checked him out, he's an extremely motivational person, head coach. But we're going to check out a clip right here, right now.
To be able to communicate with other people, and you have to work with other people. And you can never have any team chemistry for this reason. Mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. So if everybody doesn't buy into the same principles and values of the organization and the same high standard, you're never going to be successful. Just like our spring practice right now. You know what my goal with spring practice is? Get the right guys on the bus, get them in the right seats, and get the wrong guys off the bus. So one of these days, you're going to be working in an organization, and somebody's going to try to do that to you. So which one of those people do you want to be? Do you want to be somebody they're trying to get off the bus because you're satisfied with mediocre performance? Because you can never have any team chemistry in your organization if everybody's not committed to the same standard and the same things.
All right, that was great. That's why he's the GOAT right now, and hopefully Primetime could ease his way in there. But mediocre people don't like high achievers. High achievers don't like mediocre people. Now, a lot of the mantras out there, like stay positive, which I actually use, I adopted in my class for a long time until recently, because there is a thing called toxic positivity. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but some of my students, this gets a little bit more serious. Some of my students that struggle with things like clinical depression, it's easy for me to tell them, hey, just stay positive. You can do it. You're good. But they're like, Dr. H, like, I'm struggling. Like, every other day is a battle. And so even though I can't fathom what that is, that experience is like, I've changed that. I go, try your best to stay positive. Like, try your best to, to do better every day. But that mediocrity that Nick Saban talks about, like, there's a standard, right? And so I try to set a standard in my class, and I know you guys try to set a standard for who you hang around with, because, again, the mantra is good vibes only is something I used to say also until I saw it on a fourth grader. I lived by an elementary school, and I saw it in an elementary school kid. She was walking home, and I seen it on her shirt. And I was like, I probably need to think deeper as a professor than just put that out there, right? Like, good vibes only. Because guess what? Not all the time there are good vibes, right? We've all experienced death at this table within our family, things at our job, things within our family. Not everything's going to be smooth. So that's why I love how Nick Saban's actually not smooth. He's not nice a lot of the time. And this comes back to our last episode, the nice versus good. He is a good man from what I hear. So how have you guys checked your vibes or checked the vibes around you to surround yourself with some winners? So Sal, I'm going to start with you. And this is kind of like a part 2 from last time of
carryover.
Like, wow, like I'm really hanging around a different set of groups are here, but we all kind of click on a certain level, So Sal, I'm going to start with you. And I know, Dre, we talked about a friend that I really dig of yours, man. Every time he's at the house, I'm at the crib, he shows up, and I'm like, this dude is cool. Sal, what about you, man? Like, the vibes that you're creating, what have you noticed about that? What has changed over the years with Bliss Entertainment, maybe Rise to It, personally? Talk to us.
It's been organic now that I'm thinking about it. The circles that I have now versus circles I had 10 years ago and even 5 years before that. I feel like commonalities. We all well, most of us, right, progress. We're all forward thinking, forward looking, and always trying to be better, right? What does that saying say? You know better, you do better. And I think that's true even with the people that you hang out with. And as you progress and grow, I think you start recognizing the mediocrity in the thoughts of others and the way they handle situations or whatnot. And eventually, when you have those friends, you're trying to encourage them to, walk the same path or continue growth. And sometimes you see people that just aren't interested in it at all. And those are the ones that, like I just said in the beginning, they organically kind of get left behind. Because I can think of, I won't say names, but there's some people that I'm still cool with them. I still know them, but they've turned into more of acquaintances than those that are in the circle now, which is wild. But it's not like, for me, it was never just a cold, it just kind of happened that way. And I think people grow in different directions. But I feel like the older I get, the more aware I am of people's morals and the decisions that they make. And it's just me growing in that direction where those are the people I'd rather be around.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pick on you from last episode. I don't want a direct quote from you, so make sure to check out the episode. Sal says something to the fact where he goes, there's nice and good. Actually, I'd rather be around good people than nice people.
Absolutely.
I'd rather be around those hustlers that I understand, hey, they cut me short in a conversation. I could be disrespected or understand that they're really busy and they're handling we'll put in the blank right there because I think last time we put the brakes on that, but they are really handling business at a high level. And so when we're alert enough and we're aware to understand like they got something special, I shouldn't take that personally because this is who they are as a businesswoman or businessman. I thought that was really, really critical to what I do daily now. Because again, everybody, I was like, I want to just surround myself with positive vibes. But what I realized, the smile and the laughter is not getting work done sometimes. Sometimes you do need a Nick Saban or you do need a prime time. You do need a coach. And so I'm all about cheerleading. I cheer all my students on. But I'd rather be a coach, to be honest with you. I'd rather show them some ways than rather have some chuckles and laughs. I'm like, I'm not a professional comedian. But we do have an international stand-up comedian on our team if you want to go that route, who's also going to kick some knowledge too. So I thought that was really, really critical in the last episode, and I wanted to bring it back because it really ties in, right? It connects and intersects with vibes. You have a friend, man. What's his name again? Dixie, man. Shout out to Dixie.
My dude, man. Yeah.
Talk about those vibes, Dre, because your friends are very similar. We actually have a lot of friends, so when I leak, oh, man, what's up? But they're all kind of different, but all kind of the same genuine vibe. Talk about that.
Yeah, one thing about me, when people say, I don't like him or her, I say, why? Because he always does that. And they'll point to something. I look at that, I go, okay, that means that they're pretty much consistently who they are. That's who they are. I get leery of people who change every time you come around them. Like they're different. Like they're just different. Like you get a different vibe. With Dixie, I know who he is. He tells you who he is. And I got friends like that. Some of my closest friends are people like that. And I think that's something that, because that's how I am. People know me, and I'm the same dude every time you meet me. You never, someone told me to say, you're just that guy, man. You're the same dude. Cat Williams, who's been in the news a lot lately, once called my radio station, which he hardly ever calls radio stations, out of the blue, not even announced. I had no warning. He called me on the phone and said, I want to get on air. And then he said, I just want everybody to know that Andre's a real dude. You got a real one. So when people do that, let you know who you are. So a guy like Dixie, who's not perfect, has flaws and will tell you I have flaws, but they're also someone who you can count on in a pinch.
Right.
That they'll be there if you need them, and there will be no excuses. They will drop what they're doing. It's hard to find people in your corner who drop what they're doing. Now, if you're in trouble, they don't want to know why, because that takes time. They're there. Now, afterwards, they may say, so what was that all about? Then you go, hey, this happened. And then they can chastise you. Like, hey, man, stop getting into those situations. I was with my family. I had to run over here and help you beat up this dude or whatever. I'm not endorsing violence, by the way. But I'm just saying, you just need people who are going to be there, because that's how I am. You need me in a pinch, I'm going to be there.
That's right.
So that's what I look for, and that whole vibe thing, like Coach Saban had said, that on the get off the bus and mediocre people, you're gonna look back in your life, and you're gonna see times when you were around those people who were underachievers, and you're gonna look at that, and you're gonna man, I was flatlining right then. Mm-hmm. But that's the time in my life I wasn't doing anything. Yeah. I was either partying. I was hanging out, chasing girls, whatever you were doing it with underachievers. Look back over your life. And I look back now, there were times in my comedy career when I was in Los Angeles, I would be around people who were high achievers, but then I would see the underachievers were having way more fun. So I would lean to go hang out with them because they were having fun. Because the overachievers, fun was the last thing that they were worried about. Mm-hmm. Fun is like, hey, I'll get to the fun when the work is done. Hey, that's a T-shirt right there. Hey.
Say it one more time.
I'll get to the fun when the work is done.
There we go.
I like that, man.
And that's what the overachievers want to do. They want to get the work done. Right. Mm-hmm. And then once the work is done, let's celebrate. Underachievers want to celebrate through the whole process. Yeah.
They want to celebrate accomplishments, not just for no reason.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they're 9 years finishing college. They're 15 years getting that promotion where someone comes in and gets it in 3. All those things works for the underachiever in that manner. It stretches you out. It takes longer. And sometimes you don't even get it, because too many overachievers have filled those positions, and they're off and running.
Let's go. Hey, we're going to have to Cash App or Venmo at the end of this one, all right?
That makes me think of I heard somebody else talk about achievements, right? And they were like, people celebrate birthdays, and it's like, well, everybody has a birthday. There's no accomplishment for a birthday. It's just a day that passes by on the calendar. And people won't like that because people like to celebrate their birthdays, right? But I heard somebody, they had posed, what if we only celebrated accomplishments, milestones, graduating, everything from high school to college to employment to promotions, everything in life. And your age would be your accomplishment. So somebody could be a 2 and somebody could be 100.
Oh, dang.
Think about that.
Whoa.
Right?
Hey, that's big.
Man.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So that just made me think about that. And then also the vibes and everything. I hung out, took a road trip with a friend of mine. This kid is one of the most motivated go-getters, put himself through film school, everything. He's 24 years old. I met him when he was 17.
I remember you talking to him about
that. And he was a roadie, and now he's actually producing videos. He flies out to Mexico, and he's doing for big artists. He'll go follow them and do a mini docuseries on their tour.
Oh, cool.
So he's doing that. But I hung out with him the other day. He's 24.
Who's he working with? I'm just curious. Do you know?
I couldn't tell you the names. I could pull it up, but the stage and everything that he was showing me, it's big. It's big. Yeah. Well, one of the concerts they just did was in SoFi Stadium.
Is he working with Jason Derulo by chance or no?
No, it's all Latin artists.
Oh, okay.
It's all Latin artists. But at the same time, I had lunch the next day with a good friend of mine, Davey, and Davey's 54. Mm-hmm. So 30-year difference, but the vibe is the same. The consistency is the same. So for sure, it doesn't matter the age.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was trying to find this.
Davey's
meme.
24, by the way.
24. I love Davey, man. Sometimes you feel like you're around like a kid. I'm like, we all should be kids. I think you said that at a conference, Dre. It's like we lose sight of being a kid because life throws all these curveballs at us, and we get stressed, and we have the anxiety and depression. And it's like you said something. I was like, yep, there it is. Like,
the
let's
consistency.
go back to being a kid, man.
Yeah, like the consistency said when Dre said, "I am who I am," and when I met Davey originally, I was like, "Is this guy for real?" Like.
Right.
Because his personality was so strong, I thought it was just a front that he carried over from the radio, and he did a dance show for everybody. But no, he's
always on.
No matter what, yeah. So people that do that are the ones genuinely you can hang out with because you know who they are.
Yeah, that's a pull for me. That pulls me in. That type of spirit. I mean, and he has that. He's straightforward. He's about his business.
Yes, sir.
And it's nothing like if he says, "Hey, I got this going on," and he follows up and he crosses all his T's and dots all his I. I'm attracted to that.
Yeah.
Because that's not my strong point.
Tenacious
So
too.
so they say, hey, whatever's your weak point, surround yourself with people that's their strong point. Because I have my strong points, and maybe that's their weak points, and they're looking at me like, okay. And I know that's what happens. People call on me because he's good at this, and that. And okay, he'll be 10 minutes late, but he's gonna be there. And when he gets there, he's coming in like he's focused, he's ready. I'm coming in hot, so that's my whole thing. And I know what my weaknesses are, and it's a work in progress. And I'm not the person that I have no weaknesses. I'm not attracted to people like that. You have no flaws. That's the thing I want to know about a person. I first meet him. What are your flaws? Yes. And if you say, I'm pretty good at everything, it's a turn off, man.
All right. Hey, I don't know if you got in my brain right now, but I had lunch with some people and it actually had to do with Rise to It, and that's one of the questions. I go, what are your weaknesses as a company? And when I hear somebody say nothing, I'm pretty much done talking to that person. Hey, we could be friends from a distance, but if we're gonna be doing this, I surround myself with men and women that are going to be, oh, man, I should really get into this. Me and Celeste were just having a conversation about being in front of a camera. And so I knew that was my weak spot. And so people are like, well, then get in front of a camera. But people in front of a camera, like news reporters, are nervous being in front of people, right?
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy how we all can admit that. But some people are just like, no, I don't need any. I got it like that. And I'm like, okay, well, suit yourself.
How can Mark Cuban multi-billionaire, owns multiple companies. How can he say, I have my flaws? How can that guy, and I've heard him say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how can some guy who has one company worth about $20,000 go, I don't have any flaws. Everything's flowing along. Really,
true.
bro? There's a billionaire who says I have many flaws. That's why I put people in place to hide that and to cover that and to protect me. That's why I'm successful. And you heard what he just did. He had, I think he sold some stock in a company and gave like $53 million to his employees.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Just spread it out amongst his employees because he goes, hey, the reason why I got that is because of them.
That's cool.
That's awesome, man.
That's
he
cool.
really does. That's one cat I really want. I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, and Mark Cuban, man. He and all the sharks really. Mr. Wonderful, I know he plays a character because I've also seen him on interviews, and I'm like, that boy's real. Like, he'll start talking about his mother, he gets emotional. So I know what he's doing. He's like that Simon Cowell. He plays a certain character, but he's all about his business. But they all pick on their own flaws. They're all self-aware to say, even though we're the sharks, quote unquote, we still have a lot of learning to do. And they'll even tell other people, like, you got what it takes way more in advance than I did at that age or whatever it is. So I was actually looking for a meme that one of my students sent me, and we go back and forth. And it really, I couldn't find it right now, but it was to the fact of, if you're not surrounding yourself with people that tell you no, maybe you should start surrounding yourself with people that disagree with you respectfully too, because your mindset, you shouldn't agree with all your friends. I tell my students that you shouldn't agree with me, even though I'm the professor. I want you to disagree with me. Celeste, we've had talks where we disagree. Frankie, for the betterment of the team. Like, what about this? What about this? Have you thought about this idea, H? Sal, Dre. We're always open to hear that. And so that's why I love this conversation, because if you're just hanging around people that are yes men or women, you're going to be in that mediocre group that Dre was talking about for the rest of your natural life.
Everything stays the same.
So, Frankie, talk about it. I've seen the growth. We've seen the growth. Now, if you look at the episodes in season 1 to now, it's complete full-on growth, y'all. It's complete, like, my man took his Flintstone vitamins. He's looking good, man. Like, why you got those muscles, baby, right? Like, there's so much growth in really not a lot of time, dude. So, how have you seen in your classroom? We were just talking about your classes and going into this semester. You're like, I'm good. And you could see it and you could feel it on you. How have you had that growth? What are the vibes in your class now as a seasoned teacher, educator?
It's just being being comfortable, like being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like stepping out of your comfort zone to do something, because, if we want to be like overachievers, you got to go through that. You got to go, be uncomfortable at times and stuff like that. The positive vibes, like everyone, like I agree with what all you guys are saying as far as surrounding yourselves with people with good vibes, because I do feel like it is contagious. You know what I'm saying? Like when you do surround yourselves with people that are doing good things, it just kind of like you kind of get inspired by what they're doing, and you automatically start doing good things yourself. And before you know it, you're doing things right. So it happened for me like naturally as well. Where at first, like even when I was in school, I was hanging out with people that maybe like with the wrong crowds, if you will, you know, and they were having the fun, like what you guys were saying. They were having more fun, and that's why I was hanging out with them. But I did like one day, I realized that, hey man, like these guys, like, if I continue hanging out with this group, I'm gonna end up here, you know. So I made a decision, and I started hanging out with a different group of people, and I feel like naturally that's just been who I was inside though. I like what you said, Dre, right now about being the overachievers, like celebrate, like let's have fun once the work is done. But one thing that I just realized when you're saying that is with overachievers, the process is like almost like the fun part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the work is the fun. Yeah.
The work is the fun, and that's why I think overachievers are always working so hard because they actually enjoy working, right? So I just, when you said that, I thought, well, that makes a lot of sense, you know?
It's the other people's fun that are around you. They want to go, hey, let's go do it. You're like, okay, yeah. As soon as we get done with this,
Right.
we're going to go do all that. All that stuff you guys want to go do, we're going to go do that. But we got to knock this out. And that's what the overachiever is constantly telling the room of underachievers who are ready to go. That's that part.
So.
Yeah. No, I think with the overachievers, the vibes that they create, and this goes with hand in hand with everybody's conversation right now, it is a different mindset. There's some overachievers that are going to be too much for certain people. But when you look at their track record, they're on a high achieving track record. And you've seen the consistency that they have. And so I can only speak for myself because every one of you and Celeste and Erica that's not here, extremely high achievers. I don't find joy where a lot of other people will find joy. And that sounds kind of sad right now, like kind of dark. But I find joy for those limited amounts of time, and then it's back to work. And so maybe that's something that I need to work on because I'm like, people are like, man, relax, bro, have fun. Like you did this, and I'm like, tomorrow it's back to work. It's back to that grind. So I don't know if you guys remember this. It was like a commercial in the 90s when the Cowboys, hey, shout out to the Cowboys, but y'all, it's been since the 90s. It's been a hot minute. There used to be a commercial with Emmitt Smith, and he was lifting weights, and he goes, I want a Super Bowl now. I want a Super Bowl, so I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to take a rest. And he's hitting those weights hard, and he puts it on his chest, and he waits for about 3 seconds. He goes, good, I rested. Boom, and it was back to work. And I was like, that's why, I'm not a hater. I'm a Raider fan, but I'm not a hater. Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. I mean, that was a team, man, of the 90s. And so you saw that, and that's going to be maybe a foreign language for certain people. Of like, man, can't you just relax? Well, our relax is when we get to the finish line, and then there's another track meet to go like, let's do another one, right? Drake could have easily, when I saw him for the first time, throw in the towel, call it quits, a 2-finger spread when it was 15,000 in front of Saban Center opening up for George Lopez. Me and my dad been a fan of you before we became friends. You could have easily said, there's no other comedian, respectfully, there's no other comedian doing this in Central Valley. It's been a nice run. But then I saw you on the stage a few weeks later, right? So how do you guys adopt that hustle? Because that hustle is really for the VIPs, and not everyone's going to get it. And that's okay. And I've come to the realization, too, the good vibes around me are the conversations regarding mental health. Hey, man, checking in. We do this often. Hey, checking in, man. What's going on? What's in your life? What's going on? Shout out to Gustavo Enriquez, my brother from another mother. That's like one of my best friends. Gustavo, we're always checking each other. Like, hey, man, how's the mental going? Right? How's that going? My man, D-Rod, he's in Sacktown right now. And real proud of him. He's working for Apple. He worked his way up, man. I'm working on myself right now. You know, and it's like we're unafraid to have those conversations. Yeah. Not a lot of guys going to, oh, man, that's kind of weird. In my mind, I'm like, it's kind of weird. You're still in the same position, right? There should be some growth. So have you seen some growth, Dre, Frankie, and Sal, over the years, surrounding yourself with, positive vibes, but also vibes that make you hungry as an individual?
Yeah, you talked about the George Lopez. I mean, for me, I want to be at the Saban Center in front of 15,000 people on Andre Covington's show. So that's what, you can say I was on the show, but that was his show. And I did well on that particular show, but that's still his show. He's the draw. So what pushes me, because a week later, I was at a comedy club in front of 75 people. Working on some new material, some new jokes. So to take that to the next venue of 5,000 people. And it only happens when you put the work. I was just last week I was in Hawaii, laying on the beach, thinking about bits from our morning radio show. Laying on the beach in Hawaii. Like, my wife said, what are you doing? I said, I had this great bit. What do you think? She goes, you thinking about that? I'm like, I mean, it's like we just laying on the kids running in the water, having a good time. But my mind was going there. It's a never-ending process. I'm sure we all are thinking about how we can make our product better. You know, and Frankie, I will say, you know, one thing about being uncomfortable is realizing that everyone it's uncomfortable. And you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And when you're able to do that, because guess what? If we had to go right now and you took us to an event and say, hey, man, I want you to work this camera over here and work this board.
Nope.
We would go,
Nope.
well, hold on a second, man. We'd be calling you every 2 minutes. Hey, Frank, and you come over and you'd have patience with us. And you'd be like, all right, man, do it like this. And you'd be like, all right, let me show you one more time. And you probably have to show me 5 more times, you know, because I'd be a little nervous because I wouldn't be as familiar. But I would come to a point, and this is just, I know how I am, I would get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That helps me make less mistakes.
Right.
I'm going to make a couple, but instead of making 10, I'm only going to make 2. So that's going to make your job easier to only correct me twice as it corrected me 10 times. If I take a deep breath and just breathe, Dre. You can get through this. You're with a professional. He's going to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me is just being sometimes put into situations like when I have to go and do comedy in front of kids. You know, I'm used to doing adults. And then the H will say, hey, man, like, you know, we got some 8-year-olds who want you to go out there and be funny. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll come up with something. You know, it's just, I know I'm going to be uncomfortable, but in my mind, that's how people develop anxieties and nervousness conditions because you allow the event to be bigger than it is before you get there. Already in your mind, this is too big for me. Whereas you just go and you go, I bring a certain skill set. I'm going to do that. If it don't work out, okay, I'll learn from it. I'll move on.
The vibes are real. I mean, I look at some of the celebrities, and Dre, you're around all these different celebrities all the time. Who do you, over the years, like when I say vibes, when we say vibes, when we talk about vibes, and I think Celeste says something to the fact when we were starting to work together, she goes, creative people need to create.
Yeah.
Like there is kind of no timeout. So shout out to Celeste. She said this. I always remember that because I think she was talking to the hubby right here. And she's like, he's always working and he's always on his computer. Like, babe, what are you doing? And she's, she's like, creatives always need to create. Who, in your opinion, over the years, those vibes just impressed you? Maybe not the best acting skills, but you're like, they got that if factor. Like their vibes are genuine. Like I feel that. Who do you sticks out?
Oh man, they just got good vibes for me. I know so many of them because that's why I get torn in these type of situations. Because look, okay, we had Cat Williams broke the internet for 50 million views talking about, and on my Facebook page, Andre Covington on Facebook, I got a picture of me and Cat Williams. I got a picture of me as Cedric the Entertainer. I got a picture of me and D.L. Hughley. I got a picture of me and Dave Chappelle. All the people that he was talking about, like, are friends, like people I truly admire and have spent time with them. So it was, and Cat Williams, who was just in Fresno, and I hung out with him on New Year's Eve. We did the toast, the countdown, and he was extremely generous to me and my family. I had 8 people with me. He let us all into his dressing room. He is really, in spite of that show, he is a genuine person.
Right.
Like, and he's got flaws, don't get me wrong, but I've seen him give away tens of thousands of dollars. I've seen him give away money to people who he just met. So he's truly genuine. People who are in the business, Steve Harvey, who he really went after.
Yeah.
Nothing but gracious to me. And the times when the few times that I've been in his presence, he's been so gracious to me. He took me, I went to a party that he was throwing, a rap party, and he took me back. He saw me, gave me a hug, and I had only worked with him twice before that. He remembered me, he said, I saw you on this TV show, I want you to meet somebody. He took me back to meet his manager, and he goes, yeah, hey dog, all I know is this dude right here is funny. I don't tell you how to do your business. You know how Steve talks.
Yeah.
I'll tell you to do your business, but you shouldn't mess with this dude. And that guy, right then, his manager, he looked at me, he goes, Steve's never done that before. He's never brought anybody backstage and introduced me, because there was the back smoking cigar with a big old cowboy hat on. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to mess with you, man. I gave my number. Long story short, this guy started sending me out to perform, getting me in the places I couldn't even get in the door, got me in there. And then he said, I'm going on the road with Steve Harvey. When I come back, I'm going to take you in. We're going to get you a major label. I mean, as far as agent. I got 7 scripts on my desk right now for sitcoms. Steve can't do them all. He's already got 3 shows. Mm-hmm. He goes, I got 3 movies. Steve can't do them. They're asking me, who else do I got? Mm-hmm. He goes, I'm going to sign you. I'm going to have you and Steve Harvey. This is what this guy was telling me. I went home, I was crying. He goes, we go on the road. We'll be back in about a month and a half. About 3 weeks later, I get a phone call from another comedian. We're just talking. He goes, hey, did you hear about Steve Harvey's manager? I said, no, what happened? He goes, oh, he just had a heart attack and died.
Oh, man.
Oh. Just like that. So people say what they want about Steve Harvey, never help anybody. I can't say that. Mm-hmm. This man took me from a party that he was throwing in his honor for a wrap of his TV season. Stopped, it was on the dance floor, stopped, grabbed me by the hand, took me back and meet this manager. It didn't work out for me at the end of the day, but
he did that.
He did that. So when people start, so there's a lot of genuine guys out there. Cedric Entertainer, real quick. I mean, I know I'm talking a lot here. No, Cedric Entertainer, when he became the host of Comic View and his first breakout thing that he did, his first breakout, I was his warm-up guy. I was horrible. It was horrible.
Now, when you say warm-up guy, what do you mean by that? Like an opener?
I warm up the audience in between takes.
Yeah, okay.
I go out and before the comics would come out and before Cedric Entertainment would come out, I would go and warm up the crowd. Well, I would go out there and just do my jokes. And they didn't really want to hear. They want you to kind of have fun with the crowd, say, who can dance? What's the list? You're warming them up. You're getting them off their seat. Live you're playing music with the DJs. I didn't know any of that. I'm just going out there telling jokes. They were like, this dude's boring. And so nobody was laughing. So they told Cedric, hey, we're going to have to fire that dude. And Cedric brought me back. He goes, hey, man, what's going on out there? And I say, hey, man, I just never done. He said, this is what you need to do. Hey, have some fun with them. Get them off their feet. Get them clapping. Play Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's theme song. Make them all sing it. He just started giving me ideas. So I went out there and I did that. And I had a good time. And I got a chance to keep my job.
Awesome.
So how can I say anything bad about Cedric? Exactly. It's hard for me, man. And Cat Williams has given me tens of thousands of dollars to open up for him on several occasions. How can I say anything bad about him?
Yeah.
So they all have really great points. D.L. Hughley, I've written for him. He's paid me money. Mm-hmm. He's taken me and let me open up for him. Dave Chappelle.
I got to brag about Dre real quick. I got to brag about Dre because when he says D.L. Hughley, that was recently. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You were like in Miami or something. He called you on stage. So it's not like, hey, Dre, like you're good. Like what's going on? We'll catch up later. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he brought you on stage. Like, Dre, you want to do a 10, 15, 20-minute set?
We just go to his show. He's on the marquee. We walk in there, and they say, he's in the back. We'll go back. He gives me a hug, and he's like, hey, man, I got to see you. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I'm like, you're looking at me. He goes, no, I want to see you. I want to see you do what you do. I always loved your comedy. He goes, just go out, give me 15. And I went out, did the show. I wasn't even really dressed. We had just got off the plane. I was like, we saw DL's in town. Let's go to the show. I went up, did my thing, and then he was standing right there on the side watching me, and he said, man, you still got it, bro. He goes, we got to do something. So, again, cool, how can I be mad at that? So I think it's all that we talk about the vibe. All these guys got good vibes. Are they perfect? Do they clash? And what it is, you get to that certain level, all those guys, they butt heads from time to time. Mm-hmm. It's just it's nature of the beast. You know, you get to a certain level and it's position.
Oh, you get a lot of strong personalities in a space. Strong. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then comedy is like rap. I'm the best. Right. I'm the funniest because you put a title on it, headliner. So when those guys do shows, like who's closing out? Kings of Comedy is like, okay, that was a big deal. Who's going to close out that show? You know, and they battle over that because when you go last, that means you're telling everybody, I'm the best, and I'm supposed to get the most money.
Dang. That's brutal, man. We got Death Row Records and comedy right here, man. West Coast versus East Coast.
I've been backstage, and I've seen some loud talking, and it's normally the managers, but the managers sitting there by the clients. Hey, man, you better go handle this. I'm closing the show, so it can get bad.
You know, vibes they're not for everybody as far as like the people that you want to surround yourself with, as far as like careers. When you guys wanted to pursue, each one of us wanted to pursue your career, it got to a point to where you kind of needed to surrender that old person that you were. If I need to advance, I need to go have a conversation with that person, even if they're direct, even if that may sting. When I really critically analyze what they said, they're absolutely right. They're catching things that are my weaknesses that I could work on. Not everybody wants to do that. And I respect that. I really do. Like nowadays, I respect people just, you know what? That just sounds like a lot of work, H. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, I just don't want to hear complaints because you had the same opportunities as a lot of people did. Like you were sitting over there, I'm going to go talk to that person. And once you develop that relationship, you understand the high achievers, man, are really focused, and they're going to tell you how it is. And hopefully you adopt a lot of those skills. We adopt a lot of those skills, man. So
Well, it's helpful when someone has a direction and they know where they're going.
Exactly.
Even if they don't know what the finish line is, but there's a direction, then it's much easier to, pour in and support and soak up. And then things start to stand out and you start absorbing and picking up from those around. That's where you really start recognizing those gold nuggets everywhere.
Yeah, we were at high school and Rise to It. We were out there. It was, I think, the last high school that we did. And this one student waited around to the end, and she walked up to me, and she had some questions. And she was uncertain about her future, but she was like, she had some good questions. And I said, the fact that you waited till everybody was gone,
exactly.
Says a
to
lot.
come over here to talk to me says a lot about you. That tells me that you're locked in, and this is something that everyone else is out of here. But you were like, I got to get these questions answered, and I answered the questions the best to my ability. And I, having a lot of years in this business, I think I put her on the right path. And I said, if you just go on that path, and it made it about her doing the work, I said, you will reach some of those goals that you haven't, because she already had the vision. She she knew what she wanted to do. And I just kind of told her what she needs to do to get there. But I said you're on the right path because you're here asking questions. And there's several other students who think like you, but they're not here.
Those vibes, I guess, vibes attract your tribe. I don't know if you guys have heard that, right? And so
It's another T-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna get myself. The good vibes attract your tribe, but you can all just vibes. Period, man. Sometimes they don't have to be good. And that's what life is. I'll be lying to myself if I said I want to just surround myself with nothing but good people. Again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of this. Those great people, they're good people. They don't know how to advance, maybe. Right? They don't know how to move forward, but they're happy, and that's cool. And I could definitely take that and adopt that. But I like what I've noticed over the years is I like having those deep conversations. I'm very androgynous. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but when I, kind of female, male, I'm very on my emotions as of late. And so for me, I think that helps me develop more as a man, as a husband, as a founder, as a professor. There's just more lanes that I have when I'm having more deep conversation than small talk. And I think that's how we all started, with small talk, but eventually grew into some deeper stuff. I know about your family, professionally, my family, all that stuff. Dre's family, I call him King Eli. I feel part of the family. Right. But it's the surface level conversations that I've noticed over the years that I'm like, that's cool, but you're an acquaintance. But we have brothers and sisters where we could talk and really communicate. I think that's where the vibes for me, that's my interpretation of good vibes, of having those deep conversations, So, that's the beauty of having friends like Gustavo Enriquez or D-Rod or a lot of people that just call me. And Madi, she'll laugh sometimes man, you sound mean sometimes when you're giving advice. And I'm like, but they call me. And she's like, but they call you right back, dude. And I'm like, because it was those Nick Sabans in my life, that'd be like, hey, John, you got to stop drinking. You got to stop partying, because Dre heard about my wild days from other people. That boy was wild. And I didn't even say no. I was like, yeah, your boy was, man. So I needed to put that aside. But unfortunately, a lot of my friends are still stuck. A lot of my acquaintances are still stuck in that time, those vibes. And I'm like, I'm glad I've been there, done that. I'm glad I survived that area of my life, but not as wild, man. I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m. nowadays, right? So, to close things out, man, the vibes for you, Frankie. More in 2024 is also another mantra that we're going with for this year, for everybody that we surround ourselves with. What are the vibes that you want to kind of have and the vibes that you want to seek moving forward in this year?
Dre, you kind of talked about a lot of those famous comedians, and I wish I kind of knew all those people, man, so I can speak on them. But there's one comic. He's not as big as those guys, but you know him. You know Concrete. And when I see Concrete, for me, that represents like somebody with really good vibes, because he really does, like, he has like some energy about him when he's in the room. He's motivating, inspiring, and stuff like that. So, and I even told him that when he came down, when he did our last show, I was like, man, just, we've never had a show like this. The guy sold out like 4 weeks before the show. And I really do feel, because everyone that he communicates with and has a relationship with, they feel like, hey, that's my best friend. Like, he just has that quality in him. He has that quality in him where everyone can call him a friend. So I seek that. If I want to improve into like the type of vibes, I would like to have vibes like him, like Concrete.
No, I agree. If you haven't checked out Concrete, check him out. What's his at? Is it just at Concrete
So it's
Live?
Concrete Live. And since then, like, for sure, like, he didn't blow up because he came to Fresno, but we got him like in the beginning stage of his comedy career. And since then, he's like on billboards like across the nation. Like, he's in like Las Vegas, and he just did the Miami Improv, I think.
Good for him.
Yeah, man, he's just kind of like blowing up. And I think it's those vibes, because he started off doing music, and then he kind of got into comedy, and that just blew up. And I just think he just knew how to connect with the people. Yeah, man, he's killing it,
Some of that music started. Jamie Foxx started in music,
Yeah.
and then got into comedy, and then went back to the music.
Yeah.
He was using the comedy to
triple
basically
threat.
finance his music. That's really what he really wanted to do. So, yeah, that's a good thing to do, man.
Yeah. Is he still doing music, or?
Who, Jamie Foxx?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's still always going to, studio in his house. So, you can't get away from it. And that's really, he went to college for music. He had a
So that's
scholarship.
like his passion, you think? You think that was his number one?
Oh, yes. Without a doubt. That was his number one. Because when this first album came out, I remember, because we had the same manager. I remember getting this CD, and him giving it to me. He goes, ain't no comedy on it. This is all music. It was his very first CD. I still have that CD to this day. And I remember driving home listening to it. I was like, yeah, I said, this is pretty good. I remember telling him, I said, man, this is pretty. But it took him another 10 years before his music actually took off. His comedy just took off, started doing movies. But he was still always pushing the music. That's why he was hanging out with all rappers and music singers. He didn't hang out with comics because he wanted to be in the music game, but they wouldn't let him in for a long time.
That's interesting.
So it works out.
You know what's interesting for both of you guys? Have you ever seen like Jamie Foxx when he does talk about music? It's a different light that he has, a different vibe.
Oh, yeah.
And so even like Daddy Yankee, it's interesting. These guys are superstars. Like Daddy Yankee, his passion was always baseball. Oh, wow. So when he talks about baseball, and he was actually signed by the Seattle Mariners, like homeboy. But when he talks, he actually owns a baseball team now in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Nice.
But when they bring up baseball, his face just lights up. When it's music, he's like, yeah. And I'm like, bro, you just sold out like 20,000 people right now, and then another 4 days of 20,000 people. He's like,
Passion, man.
whatever. The
Sounds like-
vibe's different. Yeah.
Sounds like Michael Jordan quitting basketball
Exactly.
to go play baseball.
Exactly.
That was his childhood dream, was to play
To do
baseball.
that.
And even though he was a good basketball player, I think if he can pick out of the both, maybe he would rather play professional baseball.
Play for my White Sox, man. Dre, not so good, but you play for them, right?
Yes,
Dre,
he
what
did.
about you? More in 2024, seeking good vibes. You always spread the good vibes, but what are you seeking in 2024 for vibes?
Man, for me, it's a vibe of motivation. That's what we do. But again, I want to find out how to even take that higher, because I just feel like that's a calling for me. Because we talked about my friend Dixie earlier, and he was struggling, and for a while there, he was dealing with some homelessness, and he would call me, man. He was like, "Yeah, I'm doing bad right now. I'm living in my car," and I would give him words of encouragement and motivation, and then I got to a point where I was like, "Well, let me help you. Let me get you a hotel." And then I was telling him about, "Hey, man, there was a moment when I was homeless. This happens even to the best of us." And he was like, man, he come over to my house. He's like, "You never was homeless. Look at this house." I'm like, "No, bro.
Exactly.
There was a time, and it was briefly, but I was in my car." I said, "You have to understand the next level for you. First, you got to want it." And I said, "What is it you want to do?" He's like, "Well, I want to go to truck driving school, man." I said, "Okay, let's how do we make that happen?" He goes, "Well, I need $300 for this thing." Done. Here you go. I said, "Now you go take this class and you do it." Long story short, I just talked to my man yesterday. He's got a full-time job, man. He's driving trucks. He was all over Maine, New York. He's based out I think, Idaho. And he's like, "Man, I'm on the road." He sends me videos all the time. He's got his own truck now. He's out there. They gave him a truck. He's pulling loads all over. He's making really good money. And I would just say, "Hey, man, remember this time last year, bro? you were in your car. And it gets emotional, you know, because you think about that time. And he said, thank you, man, for motivating me and being there, because I needed another voice. And I think that's what people in this world, they need. They need to hear a voice from somebody who can say, hey, it's all right. It's bad, but it's going to be all right. Tomorrow's a new day, and we're going to move a little faster tomorrow. We're going to take 2 steps instead of 1, and we're going to keep on going until we're running full speed. Right now, he's running full speed. So that's what I want to do, man. My 24 is really going to be about motivation, and I feel like if I can uplift others, it's just going to uplift me more. It's just going to put me in a higher plane. I keep every year trying to do me. You know, and I go into every year going, hey, man, I'm going to be the best at this. I'm going to do this. But it's getting me some success, but it's not put me where I want to be. So now I'm like, I want to help you. And by helping you, it's going to help. It can't help but help me.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer. You keep giving, you're gonna keep getting, right? For sure.
Yeah, the
And
more
do
you
it,
sow,
yeah.
it always comes back, man.
Yeah. But don't do it for that. Just do it because that's what you want to do.
Well,
And
no, exactly.
you know what
But
I'm
you
saying?
just keep sowing. You just keep sowing.
And that's what you do. That's what I like about you, Sal. You just keep on. You helping so many people start their life. You know how important that is. Helping someone at a wedding start their life. And a lot of people tell you when their wedding goes bad because they be like, "That's a sign."
That's what I'm saying, right?
And you hear it all the time. But you know, you're in charge of basically starting something, a future, and you don't take that light. That's what I respect about you. You don't take that. You don't mess around with that, dude. You're detail oriented, and that's big, man. So yeah, very very proud of you, man.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. More than 24, yeah.
Sal, that bliss vibe, right?
Yes, sir.
What do you seek in 2024?
Actually, you said it. I'm looking for more. I turned down a lot of lunch invites and you know, little hangout moments where the genuine deeper conversations happen. So late last year, this has been kind of my goal. So you know, when those invites come, or even me myself pausing to actually, because with the business I'm in, it's go, 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 go. It never ends. It's 24/7. I had a bride shooting me messages. She's a nurse, so she gets off of work middle of the I wake up at 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and I've got messages from 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but that's when they're up working. Right. So, and when I wake up, they're asleep. Yeah. But it's crazy. So just telling you, it's never stops. It's always going. But take in the moment to stop and just have those genuine human connections where it's not superficial. It's not, hey, how you doing? Good, good, good. All right, I got to go. You know, it's more take those lunch invites or call and make those invites.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to see Sal, because if you haven't seen Sal behind the scenes, sometimes me and Dre would joke, hey, man, put your phone down, bro. Like, chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
We were in NOLA. My dude was soaking it in, man. The music, I was like, man, it was cool to see you in an environment because, I didn't even think about it. It's like the home of music, right, in NOLA, right?
Oh,
and the love and just the, I don't know, the camaraderie that
Even
they have.
moments like that, I don't know if,
bro.
I think I shared it with you. There was a moment we were all walking, I just broke off because there was somebody playing a saxophone at the end of an alleyway by himself, and I just went over there and sat down and enjoyed that moment. Yeah, so, for sure.
More in 2024, your vibe can attract your tribe, right? Your vibe can attract your tribe. Hey, let's give a ring real quick for another episode of the Rise to It podcast, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Rise to It podcast, y'all. 2 fingers spread. Try your best to stay positive, and as always, if you can rise to it, you can rise through it. We'll catch you later.